Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. Today we're diving into the latest report from AMG Comvest Senior Lending Fund, and let me tell you, things are looking, well, let's just say they're definitely renting out some shares. So what we have here is a standard current report filed on July 24th, 2025. Think of it as a quick update from the company to let everyone know what's happening. And the big news in this update is all about dividends. AMG Comvest Senior Lending Fund declared dividends for their common shares. Now, this is where it gets a little interesting because not all share classes seem to be performing equally. For Class I common shares, the gross dividend was $0.2143. The report doesn't show any shareholder servicing or distribution fees taken out for this class. So the net dividend is also zero. Get a little over 10% back on your investment based on the price from the previous month. But then we see Class S common shares, Class D common shares, and Class F common shares. For all these other classes, the dividend amounts are listed as NIE, which means not available or not applicable. This could mean they didn't declare a dividend for these classes, or at least not one they're reporting here. This is a pretty big difference between the classes right off the bat, suggesting some classes are performing much better or are handled differently. The report tells us these dividends are for shareholders of record on July 30th and will be paid around August 25th. Shareholders can either get the cash or have it reinvested to buy more shares, which is a common option for dividend-paying funds. Now, let's look at how much the fund's investments are actually worth. This is what we call net asset value, or NIV per share. As of June 30, 2025, Class I common shares had an NIV of $25.23 per share. Again, for Class S, D, and F shares, it's showing NR. This is consistent with the dividend information. It seems like Class I is the primary focus or the only active class as of this filing date. For the whole fund, the total NV was about $60 million. They also had investments valued at over $700 million, but they also had debt of around $358 million. This brings their debt to equity ratio to about $1.58 million. This brings their debt to equity ratio to about 1.0 times basically. For every dollar of equity, they have about a dollar of debt. This is a moderate level of borrowing, not super aggressive, but not overly conservative either. Let's check out the ongoing offering. The fund is selling shares to the public, and as of July 1st, they had issued over 14.8 million Class I shares, raising over $307 first. Note here is pretty important though. It says that as of July 1st, no Class S, Class D, and Class F shares were outstanding. This strongly suggests that Class I is the only share class currently available or active in their public offering. The other classes might be historical or reserved for specific situations, and the report is signed by Michael Altshuler, who serves as Vice President. This is pretty standard for these types of filings. Now, looking at this report, what's the story AMG Comvest Senior Lending Fund is telling us? They are a lending fund, which means they likely invest in loans, probably to other companies. The dividend declared for Class I shares shows a decent yield. However, the lack of information for other share classes is a bit curious. It strongly implies that Class I is where all the action is. If you're considering investing, it's crucial to understand why only Class I is detailed. Is it the only class with investors? Is it but curious? It strongly implies that Class I is where all the action is. If you're considering investing, it's crucial to understand why only Class I is detailed. Is it the only class with investors? Is it the oldest or newest? The report doesn't give us those answers, but the absence of data for other classes speaks volumes. The fact that they're raising hundreds of millions for Class I shares indicates investor confidence in that specific class. The debt to equity ratio suggests they are using leverage, which is typical for lending funds as it can amplify returns, but also amplifies risk. The 1.00 debt to equity ratio isn't alarming on its own, but for a lending fund, understanding the specific terms of that debt and the quality of their loan portfolio would be paramount. We don't get that granular detail here, but the yield on Class I shares at over 10% annually is quite attractive in the current market. However, we need to remember that higher yields often come with higher risks, especially in lending. So my take on this filing is that it's a very specific snapshot, primarily focused on the dividend distribution of Class I shares and the current state of their public offering, which seems exclusively focused on Class I. The lack of data for other classes is the most striking element. It raises questions about the fund's structure and whether other share classes are truly active. For any potential investor, the key takeaway is to get a much clearer picture of all share classes, their performance metrics, and the underlying assets and risks associated with this fund before making any decisions. Alright, that's our breakdown of AMG Comvest Senior Lending Fund's latest filing. What's your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Do the Class I dividends and yield look attractive to you given the missing information on other classes? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives into how companies work. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description for more discussions and insights. Thanks for watching. See you next time.